Betsy and Thomas here for the American Intelligence Media, where today we are decoding Trump tweets from July 11th through July 12th. If you want to follow along, just look at the link in the description box where you will find the tweets, and I always leave a special surprise for our listeners. Okay, now the first two tweets, Thomas, I'm going to read together because they are topical. They relate to each other. Ex-FBI layer Lisa Page today defied a House of Representatives issued subpoena to testify before Congress. Wow. But is anybody really surprised? Together with her lover, FBI agent Peter Strzok, she worked on the rigged witch hunt, perhaps the most tainted and corrupt case ever. How can the rigged witch hunt proceed when it was started, influenced, and worked on for an extended period of time by former FBI agent/lover Peter Strzok? Read his hate-filled and totally biased emails, and the answer is clear.
Well, Betsy, again, it's always an honor to attempt to decode the stable geniuses' tweets. And sometimes they're very difficult. Like some people are going to say, no, the word layer was an accident. It was supposed to be lover. No, incorrect. Layer. What happened with Lisa Page? She refused the subpoena. And her lawyers gave an indefensible defense, which was, we need more time to prepare. Sorry, your crimes were committed a long time ago. You don't have any more time to prepare. You've been subpoenaed. You cannot deny the subpoena. You're now contempt of Congress. So I hope they put her in jail. And that's the reason why there's insinuations here of, get started with Lisa, and that's what people are saying. Okay, good. That's what she wants to do. Jim Jordan said her refusing to go answer the subpoena is proof that there's double standards in the swamp and that when they're protecting their own, that's what they do. So let's also remember that if you watched the disgusting display on television, I'm glad it was only a short while, and we didn't have to put up with the 13 hours of the closed-door lies that he told, all of which we predicted, that he would not answer any questions, which, of course, he didn't except by accident. He accidentally said some things I'm sure that he would like to have called back. But let's go into the first lie. He said, I would like to correct the record. I was not subpoenaed here. I came in my own free will. Wrong. He was subpoenaed at the same time Lisa was. He just turned around and his lawyer said he will appear. And he was subpoenaed for the closed door. Same thing happened then. So there's the beginning lie. Now I want to point out that the whole thing is a lie. And what Trey Gowdy did say was he was happy to get them behind closed doors so that he could get answers to questions. And then when Trey spoke, he basically really didn't care too much. He set up Strzok, who's an idiot and who got baited by Gowdy and showed his anger, which showed how guilty he is. But Gowdy basically got the things in order, got him to admit it behind closed doors, was hoping that he would say something false when he answered so that he could get him for perjury right there on the spot because Trey had it all down. He was hoping that Peter Strzok would lie, but Peter Strzok had to answer the same way that Gowdy and the others, under 12 or 13 hours of questioning behind closed doors, congressional hearings, got out of Peter Strzok previously. So now what is most interesting is that no one except Trump keeps pointing out the reality. Anytime you say Peter Strzok, Crossfire Hurricane, and then you try to say that was an investigation, that's where the whole thing goes wrong. It was not an investigation. It was never an investigation. And then when that supposed investigation, which he referred to Peter Strzok again and again, the investigation. There was no investigation of Hillary. There was no investigation of Trump. There was a FBI counterintelligence operation against candidate Trump. That's what it was. When they joined the Mueller team, and the Mueller team was created as a special counsel, that still was an investigation, and that's the reason that Rudy Giuliani says right now, name the crime, or President Trump isn't coming to answer any questions. If there is no crime named by your special investigation, then it is unfoundly
Well, Mueller thinks that he is Trump's boss, and he is put in place there. So when the senior executive service army, this is what they really are, take over Washington, Mueller will be their head.
Yeah, well, that's where they want to go. He's always been their top fixer ever since 9/11. covering up 9/11. He has all of the crimes of everyone, and there are many people who were complicit in that crime. So Trump says, rigged witch hunt, go backwards, proceed, started, influenced, worked on by Peter the Lover and Lisa the Lovey. So, and Lisa the Lovey doesn't show up, of course.
Again, I see no proof that they were lovers. I think it's a way to hide the worst crimes of all, and that was the planning of the assassination of Donald Trump.
Yes, and
I want to see all the texts.
You've only seen one tiny speck of the text.
In that testimony that he hand-selected the text, he gave them to the IG's office. That's he was allowed to do that.
Now, for those of you who haven't been hearing me say this over and over and over again, Stephen Boyd answered the Congress when they asked for these text messages unredacted, and he says no. From the Department of Justice. Rod Rosenstein asked him to write the letter, of course. They always use their underlings, and that's why Strzok is the fall guy. He's the underling of William Priestap and James Comey, and James Comey's whole gang, Andrew McCabe, the whole group who worked with also the Department of Justice and the State Department and the CIA. It was a huge conspiracy. So when you hear a reference to these lovers, the reason that he gave behind closed doors that he said those things is, stay out of my effing business. This is my personal business. It's none of your business. And you're lucky I'm answering any questions about those text messages. That was his attitude behind closed doors. But he did answer some questions. And so when you look at the text messages, it absolutely shows the bias. And that was what the Inspector General is focused on. We're not talking about bias. We're talking about what you were just talking about. Add the other two agents who were also on Mueller's special counsel.
Agent 1 and Agent 5?
Yes. Add them and you have a plan to kill the president. Add these two, they're complicit and they're part of the conspiracy, but they wanted to take him down, to impeach him, to take him down, have an insurance policy, make sure he was never elected, use the excuse of national security to hide what he did. But you see, now they've perjured themselves. They said there was an investigation on Russian meddling. No, there never was an investigation on Russian meddling. There was a counterintelligence action of meddling using Stephen Halper and others and all the other election rigging we've talked about. So there was never an investigation. There was an operation. And there was never a Hillary investigation. We now know that. And so there's Peter Strzok out there. If anyone catches this, he perjured himself over and over again. There was never a Hillary investigation. We now know that from what has been revealed by the evidence the Congress has gotten so far, which is very little. And as you point out, you want to see the rest of the messages? How about Comey's messages? How about McCabe's? How about James Baker's? Yes. How about the lost Lisa Page messages? Yes. The whole side of the conversation we have. How about the rest of the time from the time the impeachment committee was activated before the Mueller investigation was created? How about their text messages between Strzok and Page, because they were directing this? Now, I want to point out, he got so mad, Peter Strzok did, in his testimony, that he looked like a monster. If you looked, he was just evil was emanating from him because he's so mad. I told everyone from the beginning, I told him if he would have been one of our followers, one of our subscribers, you're going to be the fall guy and you're going to be really mad when they can't defend you and they hang you out. Well, they've hung you out because they use words like investigation. There was never an investigation. It was an operation. And that's supposed to be, he's the talking points so that when he goes down, his talking points are still heard. The talking points that his personal bias in 55,000 text messages on a government phone being paid for by the government to someone he was having an illicit sexual relationship with, which means he would have lost his security clearance, which he did during these investigations, operations, lost his investigation. And when he joined the special counsel, he didn't even have a top secret security clearance and he was their top witness because he failed lie detector tests. Because why? In those text messages were all the information, as Betsy keeps pointing out. If we get those, you get the whole story, folks. You get all the evidence. You get the judges named. You get the times, the dates. You get the plans for the assassinations. You get everything. That's what they're hiding, of course. But they didn't hide it very well because, as President Trump points out, these are hate-filled and totally biased emails. Anyone who would read them, just like anyone who would read the dossier, would know it was hate-filled, totally biased, stupid.
Now, it took a woman to really bring that to everybody's attention, that from the very beginning I said this doesn't sound like two lovers talking, and I don't care what the redaction is. If you're having an affair like that, you can tell in just anything that you're texting. You know, it's not like one line is something that is sexual and the next line is not with these two careless people. So that's why I say I want to see them all unredacted, and not just Peter Strzok. I want to see Lisa Page and everyone else you mentioned.
And he can't have FBI lawyers defending him, which the one of the chairmen pointed out. Why would he have FBI lawyers appointed to him? That's absolutely crazy.
Why are we paying for him?
That's right.
And his protection.
For the biggest criminal?
Because what it really is the FBI is on trial. And they need their attorneys to keep them, all of them, from going to jail.
And that's what his talking points were, that the FBI was on trial, and the good men and women of the FBI, he is the good men and women, and he would never do anything wrong. And though he said, horrible, horrible things and made threats about Trump and to Trump, what's the outcome of that? Oh, that didn't affect his actions at all. Though we see that he covered up for the investigation for Hillary Clinton and never started one. She was not even named as a person of interest in the investigation. She was actually never interviewed. The 302s prove that. And her server was collected, and it's still sitting in Christopher Wray's, the head of the FBI's office, still sitting there. They got all Hillary's entire server when it was the 33,000 missing emails are all there. Christopher Wray has already testified to this. This just shows the way they come out boldly in these congressional hearings, and lie from the agencies, and then the Congress doesn't really stand up. What you saw was a bunch of 13 angry Democrats trying to fight down Trey Gowdy from asking direct questions of Peter Strzok, and they tried to use all these points of order. I'm a parliamentarian. All of those are out of place.
But what's worse is that if they were really Americans, they would want the truth just as much as everybody, but they are resisting.
These are some members in other committees that were complicit with these crimes. These are people who are defending their best buddies who got them their job. These are SES members in some cases, literally, sometimes. You have SES members who are actually members of Congress. I know that sounds unbelievable, but they were on the payroll before they ran for office. That's how they got their job. They found out the inside track. So what we were seeing today was a complete dog and pony show. I told you they'd never get Peter Strzok to admit anything. He questions the foundation of whether they should even be asking him about his text messages or anything he's concerned with, because he defers to a continuing investigation. I promised you he would defer to national security. That will happen later. Yeah. But right now, they're just deferring to Mueller and saying it's Mueller. I can't answer because of Mueller's investigation of a non-existent crime.
Thomas, here. Whenever we've worked on jobs, there's always that form you have to sign that you acknowledge that you're on a work computer and you're using a work phone and that this is work property. So, right? Now, yep. and the FBI's got all these fancy attorneys, so certainly they have somewhere in their human resource packet something that you signed that you acknowledge that that's work material. If they don't, they're really bad attorneys. And if they do, Peter Strzok can't hide behind this.
These were on FBI secure lines. The fact that they even made a few of these messages means that that secure line is not monitored, and that the crimes committed on those FBI secure lines are so blatant all the time that there's 55,000 of them, and they're only going to let us look at a couple hundred. And they're so damnable that as we read them, the people who said them need to go to jail, not be questioned by a political congressional hearing, which should have today held in contempt Peter Strzok because he refused to answer any questions when there is no precedent for such a thing. And so they even busted him saying, no, you don't get to ask your FBI lawyers a single thing. Here's the law. And then he says, well, then I'm going to ask my lawyer, and they're going to ask the FBI. And then I'm not going to plead the fifth. I'm going to say I cannot make a remark on a continuing investigation.
Thomas, if they got the text, we saw that there were these crimes being committed, who would go in and immediately arrest all of them? Because we can't have something like this going through congressional hearings if we plainly see that there was an attempt to try to overthrow the president.
Well, just like today, Rod Rosenstein assigned hundreds of lawyers to do basically an unprecedented, from the Department of Justice, illegal investigation into Brett Kavanaugh so they can take him down. It would have been either he or Jeff Sessions who would have made that directive.
Well, good. Finally, Rod Rosenstein is going to do a little work for us because, frankly, I'm not too thrilled about Brett Kavanaugh. He is senior executive service along with his wife and hung around with the Bushes, and he is knee-deep in alligators when it comes to corruption. So if Rod can do that for us, okay. I'm sorry, that's the way I feel about that. There are a lot of good judges out there.
Well, Trump has thrown a monkey wrench into the works, and they're all scrambling. They don't know what he did.
Yes.
We don't know what he did. But the entire establishment has just imploded because they're going to go against him, and they don't even know why. Why? Because he's crooked on both sides.
Yes.
So as they go through this confirmation, they're going to bring out crimes of the Republicans and the Democrats. In other words, the swamp, which will simply support MAGA candidates. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's brilliant. Okay, next tweet. Billions of additional dollars are being spent by NATO countries since my visit last year at my request, but it isn't nearly enough. U.S. spends too much. Europe's borders are bad. Pipeline dollars to Russia are not acceptable.
Watching what's going on over there is just so much winning. It's like, winning the World Cup, the World Series, the pennant, what is it, the Stanley Cup.
It's never good when you start talking sports.
Oh, no.
Right.
That's a fact.
Okay.
So it's like winning every award there is. He's winning it, and it's just embarrassing for us. It's actually embarrassing that they got down on their knees and said, Mr. President, before coffee is delivered, I'm delivering the promise of $266 billion. So when Trump said he got a guarantee of, what did he say, $33 billion or whatever, that's the tip of the iceberg. And he kept insinuating that. And he also insinuated, get up to 4%. Your commitment's 2%. None of you are doing it. Get up to 2% immediately. Pay what you owe. And then I'm going to 4%. Because, it's true. Not long ago I said, who cares about NATO, man? That's not us. Why don't I bring all those troops home? Why am I putting our American treasure on the line for people who don't match it, care, and we really don't get any benefit because then they screw us on tariffs, they screw us on everything. They screw us to the United Nations.
Listen.
So he was saying, no more NATO. What happened? They started paying like crazy immediately before we even got there a year ago.
But I loved how he called out Germany. I mean, come on. You can't have it both ways. You say they're your enemy, so this is why we need NATO, but yet you're making all this money on these gas pipelines.
We are going to go to that one because he finally revealed what we didn't even know.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry I jumped the gun. Okay, let's get back over here. As I head out to a very important NATO meeting, I see that FBI lover agent Lisa Page is dodging a subpoena and is refusing to show up and testify. What can she possibly say about her statements and lies? So much corruption on the other side. Oh, where is the Attorney General?
Well, if there was an Attorney General, I believe that's a myth. I believe that Jeff Sessions doesn't exist.
Maybe they should hold his paycheck and make him come and get it so we can have proof of life.
Proof of life is what we need. Jeff
Yes.
Sessions, proof of life. Okay, can someone communicate to the White House, we need proof of life from Jeff Sessions? Because there's no proof of life here. Now, what would really happen if Lisa Page simply had her lawyer write a letter saying, no, we're not coming? You send the U.S. Marshals out to arrest her for contempt of Congress. That's what you do. And then you put her under a lie detector test. And you put Strzok under a 13-hour lie detector, as much stress as you can put him under, and you'll get the truth. And then whoever is hiding, that would be Michael Horowitz, and that would be Jeff Sessions. Yes, sorry, Jeff. I know why you're not in public. You're busy hiding stuff. You let 100 lawyers go after the president's nominee right in front of you. You let Rod Rosenstein make another decision to show that you're not there. No, you're there. You are the evilest of the evil because you don't even come out like a Peter Strzok and show evil on your face. Anger that if the president would have been there in front of Peter Strzok today, I swear he would have attacked him physically. That's how much anger came out of this man because he got caught. And all he said was, I got caught. So if Lisa Page was there and the two of them were made a fool of, like Peter Strzok was made a fool of today, he would have defended Lisa Page. That's why they called them together. And that's why the three choices they gave them is, you show up on Friday the 13th the day they killed Jacques de Molay. That's the reason, the Templars, burning of the Templar.
Yes, and President Trump will be with the Queen. Oh,
yes.
Well, wait a minute, on our 13th, but will it be their 13th?
And then, or you can show up today with your lover boy, or you can show up at another time with your lover boy because he's coming back. That's what they told her in the response. Nobody's talking about that. So, in other words, they said, we're not sending the U.S. Marshals to arrest you, which we could, or the Capitol Hill Police to arrest you, which we could. What we're going to do is give you a chance because we really, really want to see you two appear together. To see the looks on your face when Trey Gowdy rips you to pieces and ruins any possibility you ever have of a job in the future.
And all of us gals out here will be able to determine if they really are lovers by just the way they are and they act with each other.
That's true. And you know how when Trey got close? That's when you saw foaming at the mouth from the Democrats yelling, "Point of order!" They don't even know what point of order means. They were everyone out of order. At one point, that chairman could have sanctioned them and had them removed from the chamber.
Yes, they need to be removed. Okay, next one. Presidents have been trying unsuccessfully for years to get Germany and other rich NATO nations to pay more toward their protection from Russia. They pay only a fraction of their cost. The U.S. pays tens of billions of dollars, too much to subsidize Europe, and loses big on trade.
Yeah, now we're not getting to energy yet, though I want to jump the gun and get there.
Well, let me read that one because you may. On top of it all, Germany just started paying Russia, the country they want protection from. Billions of dollars for their energy needs coming out of a new pipeline from Russia. Not acceptable. All NATO nations must meet their 2% commitment, and that must ultimately go to 4%.
Now, Betsy, this is when it's real honor to decode a stable genius, because we kind of predicted that he knew something nobody else knew, and now he's saying it, and then today he made it clear. He said it 5 or 6 times. I'm the only one talking about this. I made them all talk about this. I'm the only one who is talking about this. Germany is ripping off the European Union. They have a special deal with Russia. Why would I support NATO when we have this ripoff going on? Germany is only paying 1.1%, not 2%, and they sure aren't paying 4%. Oh, and you don't steal from Donald Trump. This is a man who did not construct a billion-dollar kingdom because people were ripping him off all the time, okay? Angela Merkel, he said he likes you, he gets along with you, he knows you could be gone because he has now revealed to your entire nation, not only you stole taxpayer money, put it into pirate ships, supported by George Soros, that brought the invasion of the Muslims into Europe, that is taking over Europe, which Trump again addressed. He says, you guys got big problems. I was out there talking to all of them. I told all of them, immigration's your big problem. You better solve it. And so, what was happening? He was revealing that the Nord Stream 1, which was open and flowing but closed by sanctions by Obama, Nord Stream 2 was built from Russia directly to Germany. It was supposed to be closed off. They were supposed to be, Nord Stream 1 was supposed to be closed off. Now we may find out that Nord Stream 1 was flowing too, and Angela Merkel was stealing more than even Trump knows. But for sure, he says the new pipeline. There's only one new pipeline from Russia to Germany, and that is Nord Stream 2. And that is as big as Nord Stream 1, but it flows 3 types, and not only oil, gas, and liquid gas. It's beautiful. It's just high-tech. It's the most beautiful thing. It could save Russia's economy. I'm glad it's happening, to be quite frank with you, because Obama's sanctions were based upon Russians meddling in the election, and they didn't. They didn't. It was Obama's administration meddling in the election.
Which we show over and over again walks right back directly to the Queen of England.
He might as well have said, here is the proof that Angela Merkel is the daughter of Adolf Hitler. Because what he just revealed is she was doing a secret deal screwing German taxpayers, Germans, EU, America, the whole world, lying about it and being the number one person causing the distraction, inviting every radical Islamic Muslim fascist into fundamentalist fascist,
destroying her country
into Germany, but you had to go through other countries to get here and destroy them on the way. Because we have a rule in the EU that says we don't have borders, and we have to take migrants or asylum seekers. They call them refugees. Only asylum seekers are legal, folks. All the rest are illegal, undocumented aliens, and almost all of them are undocumented. Now, the point is, he pulled down Angela Merkel's pants in front of the entire NATO, EU, and the world, and why? Before he goes to see who? Capital P, capital U, capital T, capital I, capital N. What did he do? He pulled down Vladimir's pants before he goes to Helsinki to meet with him. Why? Because he was going to say, don't give me no BS, you KBG oligarch mafia dude who I actually respect for being a competitor. He said it today.
A competitor. Yeah,
I respect him for being a competitor.
Hey, who wouldn't want to take that deal, you know?
And if you know you're dealing with a shark, well, you're not giving him any way.
Right.
You're not going to give him any. So what did he do?
Oh, what a stable genius he is.
Oh, he's
so amazing.
What do they call it? 6-dimensional? I think he's gone to 7 dimensions.
I just love it.
7-dimensional chess now.
Okay, so anyway, this is exciting because you have always been talking about these pipelines, Thomas. But then when we heard him, he had taken it a step further. Obviously, he has better sources of intelligence than what I'm getting here at the conclave.
Well, we had projected that this would happen and predicted it. We predicted it when he wrote the executive order, which basically declared a national emergency, and he started putting sanctions on countries. On one day, he put 1,200 sanctions, okay? And we don't know who he put the sanctions on. He only gave out the number of 17, I think, and then there were 39 mentioned in that particular executive order. But later, there are over 1,200 sanctions active right now. So who can say which are Obama's, which of Obama's have been dropped, which of Trump's have been added? We told you Trump is working through the Department of Treasury. Money. Follow the money. That's what we do. So we knew this was going on. But we did not know that Angela Merkel, well, we told you a long time ago, Nord Stream 2 was ready up and going to be running in a matter of months. Oh, and then Obama put sanctions on Nord Stream 1 and pseudo-sanctions on Nord Stream 2 when it becomes operational. So they didn't want to let people know it was operational because Obama's sanctions, if they still exist, I don't know if they do, Trump might have canceled them. So he's going to go see Putin. He's going to go, don't give me any nonsense, Vlad. Let's talk Turkey. Would you like the Ukraine to allow your oil to come across the Ukraine? And you know what Vlad is going to say to him at Helsinki in a few days? Forget Ukraine. Just let us open Nord Stream 1, please. And admittedly, Trump, you outdid me. You depantsed me in front of the entire world community, and you got us. You got me and Merkel working together, just like you got me and the Queen working together.
Well, you know, in all of this excitement, when you have Struck over here and you have Merkel and you have Putin and all of the whole chessboard, you can see how the plays are going to be made and how we're going to win the game. But it's going to take a little time to move the positions, but we win.
This is Trump pushback, haggling. This is Trump signaling for the deal with Putin. Okay? And did you hear what Trump said? If you listen, he says, hey, maybe I have better intelligence than they do.
Yeah.
We told you about this, Mr. Trump. We told you about it when it happened. We told you about it the moment that Obama put those stupid sanctions. We said it shouldn't exist. Look to the other oligarchs who are supporting the Democrats. Those are the ones who are supporting the Republicans. So he thinks he's getting you, Mr. Trump, but you're going to go worldwide as you have. And, you're a worldwide deal maker. So you putting these things out, depantsing Angela Merkel. Do you think, you know what Vladimir Putin's doing right now? He's sitting at his computer waiting to see what the next Trump tweet is going to be. Because it's going to tell him what's going to happen at the meeting. And if these idiots who Trump goes into meetings with would simply read his tweets and read between the lines, they'd know all of this was going on. So
no, they won't. Not unless they listen to master decoders.
Well, here's what's going to happen. Today, Angela Merkel is going to pay 4%.
Yes, she should get the full
She's going
price.
to pay 4%.
4%.
Okay? And she's going to say, but that's if you do not pull any troops out of my country and if we can just go zero
No,
balance.
no. Wait.
Listen, I'm telling you what she's going to say. I don't care what you think.
I know what I'm thinking.
She is Putin's puppet. She is George Soros's puppet. She is the Queen's puppet. She's everybody's puppet who pays her. That's the reason she's got those beautiful pieces of land in South America next door to the Bushes. Okay? Look into it.
Paraguay.
The big second largest underground body of clear water
Well, that
in the
makes
world.
sense because, Prescott Bush was all associated with Hitler. So really you've got all the Nazis fleeing down there.
I've seen the pictures. It's a pretty nice place,
okay,
but not developed. Can I go on?
Yes, but
Okay.
move into the next
Angela
tweet.
Merkel's going to pay 4%. She's going to beg not to have the troops taken out. And then she's going to say, Mr. Trump, will you forgive me, please, for cheating and lying about Nord Stream 1 if we immediately demand of the world that you lift the Obama sanctions? Because that will make what she did then legal. And if you allow Nord Stream 2 to be opened, then we actually don't have a problem in Ukraine. We don't have a problem in Iran, in Saudi Arabia, in Kurdistan, in Syria. We don't have any more oil problems. We just will be fighting over the liquid gas that's between Qatar and Iran in the future.
Yes, because see, what Trump, not clever, he's so smart. He made sure people understood that trade is one thing and energy is something else. And energy is war. The lack of energy creates war. All of the petrodollar and all that is all about war. And when this is all freed up, when energy is freed up, there will be no more need for these wars.
That's why he puts billions of dollars for energy needs.
Yes.
Energy needs means rat lines for wars, folks. You could describe the modern wars in probably 75% of the cases.
To do that now.
I'm not going to.
Okay.
But you can describe about 75% of the modern wars based upon pipeline deals and pipelines being blown up and future pipelines and the delivery and the amount and where the oil fields are, and are those oil fields and pipelines going to be blown up? It's pretty darn amazing that after everything in Syria is blown up, that their pipelines aren't blown up. Only parts of them are blown up. So what I'm saying is Trump is going to get a beautiful deal on tariffs from Germany, specifically bilateral now, today. It will be offered to him. And European Union was busted. And Donald Tusk, one of the evil leaders of the European Union who came out and threatened Trump before he got there, sorry, you lose.
Okay. Now, the next tweet is the press conference, and it's really good to watch. So you can comment on that. And then after that is a tweet to thank NATO, which is a picture of Melania and Donald coming off the airplane. So that's all really good. But what do you want to say about that press conference?
Watch the press conference. It gives you all the answers. It shows he is in 100% control. Every single, as we should be. We are the superior force. We control currencies. We control the military. He pointed out that the GDP of China is only 40% of ours. They're only 40% self-sufficient. They can't exist without us. He knows this, and he's leveraging every bit of this. You should be very proud of your and my president.
After that, we have a few retweets with pictures, and if you go in there, you can see some of the pictures from his visit. The next tweet that is worthy of discussion and decoding is this one. Trump has been the most consequential president in history when it comes to minority employment. In June, for instance, the unemployment rate for Hispanics and Latinos 16 years and older fell to 4.6%, its lowest level ever, from 4.9% in May.
Let me explain what that really means. That means votes from undocumented aliens. That means votes of DACA. That means he is courting literally those amazingly undocumented aliens who have Social Security numbers, pay taxes, and receive tax returns because the IRS doesn't stop them. He is saying, I know you get to vote. I'm courting you. I am the one you have the opportunity for a pathway to citizenship. I am the only one because the Congress, as you have seen, are nothing but obstructionists. So is the Senate. They are not going to give you any immigration laws that make any sense. I am the one that's making sense of all of this because now we're going to have a rule of law. And when there is a path to citizenship. All of you who have been hardworking DACA members, hardworking undocumented aliens, you're going to have a chance. He said that because why? He's got more compassion. And by the way, when you look at his beautiful press conference, what did he say more than anything else? I am about peace throughout the world. They asked him, what would you want? He said, I want peace, and I want no starvation, and I want medical cures for everything, and I want peace, I want peace, I want peace, I want no weapons, I want no more nuclear weapons, I want peace, I want peace, I want peace. Okay? And then what did he say? And I'm going to have a kick-ass military that will basically be better than anybody else's.
Yeah, because we're going to maintain that peace.
Period.
Okay, now the next tweet, this was nice, and I have a copy of the image inside the link. A very nice note from Chairman Kim of North Korea. Great progress being made. And then we wrap up the tweets today with just a general message. It says, great success today at NATO, billions of additional dollars paid by members since my election. Great spirit.
Yeah, let's go back to the first one. Don't believe any of the nonsense. Believe what Trump's telling you about Kim. Believe what Pompeo told you during that press conference. All these lies. It is astounding. It is astounding that people believe that the New York Times gets satellite pictures that proves that Kim is continuing his atomic work. That is completely dumb. No, Kim has rushed forward to blow it all up. He blew up the biggest parts of it before he even met with President Trump. But remember, North Korea is not North Korea. It is China. The war is not with North Korea. The war is between China and Taiwan. And if they lose North Korea's rare earth minerals, which they basically lost because Japan just found an endless resource of rare earth minerals on the ocean floor at a very shallow depth. So Japan just blew away China's attempted manipulation of the rare earth metals from North Korea and keeping them preserved until now. So China's gone out and bought all the rare earth minerals in all these countries to manipulate them. So the war is not with North Korea. The war is with China. Get focused on that, and you'll see that Trump is winning it if people simply back off and let him do his deal. He's bartering for us, folks. He's going to get them down to zero, or they're going to give it to us for free. And Betsy, we're going to speculate. There's going to be more tweets here real soon from England, but I hope he takes the time to completely focus on the fact that the British are our enemy. And his visiting them, when Boris Johnson says he's a friend of President Trump, that's very nice of you, Mr. Trump, because you're so nice to everybody. You're not mean like I am. Boris Johnson is your enemy. Don't meet with him anywhere. The only thing you could get from Boris Johnson is very bad energy. Boris Johnson's out. Theresa May will be out. You need to realize, sir, as you I'm sure do, that you are leading Britain at this point. The Privy Council and the Queen are in retreat, and you are in charge. And they don't know what to do about the European Union and George Soros's reach into the Privy Council. So the Queen doesn't know whose side to be on. Don't listen to a word she says. Don't drink anything she gives you. And don't shake any of their hands, please. And you make sure anything you touch in Britain is touched by one of your secret services first, and that it goes through multiple redundant systems to make sure that you are protected, sir, because you are in grave danger when they know your schedule. Now, I want to applaud you. You've already adjusted your schedule a few times, and I don't think they really know where you're going to be, quite frank with you. Thank you so much. That makes us here in the conclave and Betsy and the team feel much better. We want to send you prayers, because if you can, sir, continue what you just did in the European Union with Britain and Russia, you may bring world peace.